Hey guys, today I'm going to be showing you a very simple way you can kind of jazz up a simple 1-5-4 chord progression using some passing chords. Let's jump right in. All right guys, the lesson today is in the key of A major and the chord progression is a 1-5-4. So in the key of A major, we're talking about A, E to D. Now this first demonstration is going to be using the 4 chord of each of these chords as passing chords. So I'll kind of play through it first and then I'll come back and break it down. All right, first let's figure out what our passing chords are going to be in this chord progression. So we were playing the 1 chord, right? So in the key of A, of course, that's A. Now for the passing chord, I'm playing the 4 chord of that chord. So I could use the example of, say, moving from this A, the chord fragment here, to the D right here. All right, use that as a kind of a nice little stab. And I can do that anywhere. So anywhere I have an A chord, say if I were doing the voicing there at the top 3 strings, the A there, then I could use this D, also using the top 3 strings, as the passing chord. So in general, I'm trying to use the same strings. Now, if I play up the neck, say if I play my A chord here instead, right there, well, the D chord is right next door. That could be the nice little passing little stab. Or say if I were using the middle strings. So wherever you find an A chord, you're always going to have a D chord next door using the chord fragments. Okay, so that was for the 1 chord. Now for the 5 chord, the 4 of the 5 chord is A. All right, so if we're going to the 5 chord there, say I think I played it up here, our E chord there, the A chord is right here. All right, and that's just the breakdown of that C shape right there. So that could be one way of playing it. Here's our E. Right there. Grab that A as kind of a little stab, little passing chord. Okay, or I could play, say, the E up here. And then it would be right next door there. Okay, so anywhere you find yourself, anywhere you play that E, look for your 4 chord next door and use it as a passing chord. Here it is down at the 4th and 5th fret. This is the E here based on the C shape. Right there. And then for the D chord, our 4 chord in the key of A, the 4 of the 4, so the 4 chord of D is G. And that's a chord that's outside of the key. But it still works, kind of gives us a little bit of a bluesy flavor because it's got the G note in it, which is the flat 7 in the key of A. Okay, so that will be a nice sound anywhere you can find it. That's there. If I played my D up here, if I played my D on top, find it everywhere it exists. So what I suggest you do here is sit with the backing track and find some different chord combinations here. So maybe start here, using that 1 to 4 for the A, and then when it goes to the E, your 4 chord of the A right next door. And for the D, you could either go here, or you could do it down here. Right, and that's the middle 3 strings. Try it up the neck as well. Here's my A, E, and then D again here. And then once you're kind of comfortable with that, try to do the same thing on the top 3 strings. So I play my A here, my E right next door, and my D here. That could be an example there. And then try the same thing up the neck. Okay, in the next demonstration coming up, instead of using the 4 chord as a passing chord, we're now going to use the 2 chord of each of our chords in our chord progression. So the 2 chord of the 1 chord, the 2 chord of the 5, and the 2 of the 4 chord. So let me go ahead and play it, and I'll come back and break it down. All right, now let's look at what the passing chords would be if we used a 2 minor. So again, our chord progression A, E, D. The 2 chord of our A chord is B minor, right next door. Okay, so let's listen to the difference in the sound here if I use that 4 chord versus the 2 chord. Here's using the 4 chord, going to D. Here's that 2 chord. Slightly more jazzy, a little bit more gospelish. A very similar sound. Okay, now let's go up to the 5 chord in our chord progression, which is the E, right? All right, so if I play my E there, where's my 2 chord? Well, the 2 of E major is F sharp minor. Again, we're going to the key of the new chord. So the 2 of E major is F sharp minor, and I have a breakdown of that right here. Just taking that directly out of my F sharp minor bar chord shape. So that could be used there. Again, just mess around with the phrasing a little bit. Now for our 4 chord here, the D major chord, the 2 of D major is E minor. And again, I have that right next door. And then back to my 1. Okay, so those, that is one way that I could play these. If I were using the middle strings. What if I were using the top strings? Well, okay, here's my A major here. B minor, again, right next door. I could do the E here. Then I would take this F sharp minor. If I did the D here, here's the E minor right next door there. All right, another thing I did in the demonstration was moving between the 2 to the 1 to the 2 to the 1 and kind of in a descending fashion. So if we're talking about that A major chord, I think I started up here, the B minor, right? Here's a B minor chord. A major, B minor, A major. So that can be a really nice kind of chord fill that you can use. Something like this, over the A chord. Okay, and I did the same thing over the E chord. I think I started up here, so here's my F sharp minor, the 2 of the E chord. F sharp minor here. So that can be a nice little chord fill. Nice little passing chords. And then I think I did the same thing for the D chord. E minor now, E minor being the 2 of D. E minor, D major, E minor, D major. So have fun with this one, guys. Make sure you practice both versions of this, using the 4 chord in passing and using the 2 chord in passing, and then put this in some songs that are in your playlist. Thanks, I'll see you next time.